Thank you very much, Laura, Elliot, and Kathryn, for that fascinating presentation on the work there. I think we have now switched to the panel mode so everyone can see the panel. And we've had a few questions coming in from our audience, particularly around sort of how you undertake your work within this project. So Ashlyn has asked how sites are identified for collection, and who you work with in doing that. So I was wondering if one of you would like to perhaps fill us in on a bit more of the detail of that.
Yeah, so that's a lot of, for the seed collection, that's a lot of hard work is identifying a good population, that's a healthy population, because there's no point collecting seeds which aren't going to be viable. If they're not going to grow, then they're sort of kind of useless. But that's a lot of the challenge. We can only collect up to 20% of the seeds that are available when you collect on a certain day, and that's to ensure the original population isn't depleted too much. So that's a really hard task, because you know we've got certain knowledge of the Botanic Gardens, but we don't have on the ground knowledge in every part of Wales, so that's quite hard to figure that out. So we work. I mean, we're so reliant on local experts, just a lifesaver. So we work really closely with NRW, particularly Julian Woodman from NRW, who's a vascular plant specialist. He's been amazing identifying populations. Barry Stewart from Celtic Wildflowers, he's been great at the South Wales sites in particular. So yeah, I mean, it's all based on the local knowledge of sort of the SBI recordings and things like that. So if anyone's got a plant they want some seeds collected from, get in touch.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And sort of linked into this, you obviously connecting to a lot of people across Wales and getting more people to have that. David's asked Laura whether the project includes any DNA training for volunteers. And I wondered if you could say a bit more around that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's been a little bit more limited with COVID, but yeah, especially for our kind of undergraduate placement students and our undergraduate kind of volunteers from universities, then we like to try and let them into the lab and give them kind of an opportunity to shadow and see the different stages of the lab work, so they get to start having more experience in that, because that's another thing that's also really difficult sometimes to get access to and access to experience. So currently, hopefully today as well, they're currently working on processing through some of these soil samples for me, so they're getting experience in it.
The questions popping up from a few people on different areas now, and one of the questions that I can see is just coming in is around, does the Botanic Garden have any conservation actions for non-seed plants? So what are your plans in that area? I'm not sure who would be best placed to pick that up, but I just wondered if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm not sure that we do, actually. I think with the seed bank, that's taken the focus for the last couple of years, I think. But we'd definitely like to.
The question, I suppose, this question of trying to do these projects one after the other and the resources to do the different types. But there's the interest to do what can be done. And are arable plants included? Someone else has asked as well.
Yeah. They're a particular focus for seed collection because they're so transient and really, really threatened. So we've collected corn buttercup, savensis, which is really basically gone from Wales. So any arable plants, yeah, we're really, really interested.
I'm muting myself there. Well, thank you. I think that covers most of the questions we've got coming in. There's one question I see that we haven't picked up that's asked whether the National Botanic Gardens would be interested in accepting seeds from individuals from local patches, and if so, is there a right method of collection? What is the position on that sort of approach?
We haven't so far. Mostly because we've already been set up. The seed bank's only been set up for a couple of years. You need to be quite careful One, in terms of permissions, so you need to have the landowner permission, and you need to, if it's a triple SI, you need permissions for that. If it's a Schedule 8 plant species, you need permissions from that from Natural Resource Wales. I'm not. We haven't yet, but I think we could do in the future.
Thank you for that. There's been some fascinating presentations, some interesting questions coming through. I just want to give one last call to our audience. If anyone's got any other questions they would like to pose to any of our panel members. I think we've picked up all the questions that I can see coming in.
I think just to add to what Elliot was saying as well, if anybody was to think, oh, we've got some nice rare plants here, we're going to collect the seeds, did make the point that you can only collect a small percentage of what's there, so you've got to be really, really careful. So you might think, I'm doing you a big favour. Here you go. We're like, oh my God, the local population is gonna, oh dear. So you've got to know what you're doing, and it's best to seek advice before you think I can help out with that. Just so,
that's good advice. Don't go strip all the seeds out of your local patch entirely.
If you've got a population you think you'd like to collect, it would be good to collect seed from, probably get in touch with us or the Millennium Seed Bank, and then we can sort of go from there. I think.
That's the message. Get in touch and make sure we do it right, not risking any harm. One last question that's just been flagged by this is: were there any plans to cover more MVC grassland categories?
We haven't got any specific plans, but this is a kind of exercise in, is this, something helpful for monitoring? We did kind of common MVC communities across Wales, ones that we knew we'd be able to get kind of samples from across, and then some, the interesting like M24, nice marshy grassland kind of sites as well, Ross pasture kind of ones. We'll have to kind of assess that and those results, and then see how applicable it is to kind of try and get other MVC communities, because that would be really interesting.
Thank you for that. So I think that's sort of wrapping up on our questions there. So I think all it leaves for me to do is really thank all our presenters for coming in. Alison, Laura, Elliot, Kathryn, thank you to all of you. There were some really interesting presentations there. It really struck me how much has still gone on this year in quite difficult circumstances. We saw some community groups still managing to do work out in the field in different ways, and the ways we've managed to engage with people even in these difficult circumstances. As you said, it's been really a year when everyone wants to engage with nature. Hopefully we can continue that momentum as we come out of the current times, and have people seeing a more in-depth appreciation of just what's around them, and really how precious some of the species we have in Wales are, and the need to protect them. So thank you to everyone who's joined us today. For everyone who's listened in, thank you for joining us. And just a quick reminder, there's lots more information about the conference on the Hoover platform. Please do go over there and provide your feedback. There's some link sessions buttons that we'll use then, obviously, to understand what worked well, what didn't, for future years. Please do go and leave your feedback. And just to point to the next sessions, there are some sessions this afternoon around behavioural change. So I'm sure some of you will be signed up in there, and we look forward to seeing you in those later sessions.